Tell you what, in the interest of keeping ourselves on schedule and keeping in time, I'm sure that as time goes here, Zach will be letting more people in. Hopefully, people will be populating. But I want to say thank you and welcome to Sunny. Sunny Mullen is here to speak to us tonight because she has some really great information about um, learning to kind of afford our medical expenses. So anyhow, guys, basically here's the idea. So we have expenses, right? This is, part of our life and what we do comes with a little bit of a price. So Sunny has offered to kind of chime in here and give us a lot of resources and a little expertise and some driven information to help us figure out uh, how to afford these things we all want. So um, for the crowd we have here thus far, most of us are all volunteers with the organization. I think this would be very beneficial information for us to use as a resource to be passing on to others. Uh, and then as people kind of file in, hopefully later on, be more information for them as well. So without further ado, I guess, Sonny, sorry, I didn't have a more elaborate introduction
No,
for
that's
you, but
perfect.
there you go.
That is perfect. I will pull up my screen here. And so thank you guys for having us tonight. My name is Sunny Mullen, as Bob said, and my coworker Stacia is with us as well. We work with Help Hope Live. We are Help Hope. Let me pull up my screen and then I'll start telling you all about who we are and what we do for you. So, Stacia and I both work with Help Hope Live. I'm the director of outreach, and Stacia is one of our client services coordinators. And Help Hope Live is a national nonprofit that is here to help individuals living with catastrophic injuries and illnesses, or those going through life-changing organ transplants, to fundraise toward their medical expenses and related costs. So truly anything related to your diagnosis, your limb difference, your amputation, we can help you fundraise toward those costs. And we have been around now for over 40 years. We were founded by a heart transplant surgeon here in the Philadelphia region. And from there, we have simply grown to include almost every type of major medical condition that you can imagine that comes with
And
a
some you
financial
can't.
expense. Excuse me?
And some you can't.
And some you can't imagine. Very true. Very true. We do help the undiagnosed community at this point as well. So just so many conditions out there anymore that we are helping safely and supportively fundraise. And so why would you come to Help Hope Live for your fundraising efforts? A couple advantages to working with Help Hope Live. Really, we set you up with a campaign page on our website and a one-on-one coordinator that, like Stacia, that gives you all of the tools and support and know-how to go out and put on successful fundraisers in your communities. And then the funds come back to Help Hope Live and our Help Hope Live assets. So they shouldn't affect any of your asset-based benefits or become taxable income to you or your family. So we provide you with personal support. We provide you with the safety net of us moderating the funds and not having them affect your benefits. And since we are a nonprofit, all of the donations that come in your honor are tax deductible to your community. Another really important thing is that we medically verify every campaign we work with. So that adds an extra layer of transparency to what you're doing for your community, for everyone involved, in knowing that what we're doing is truly on the up and up, and that all of the funds raised are actually going to the right reasons. And Stacia, if you want to talk about the campaign page a little bit.
Sure. Okay, so when we talk about the campaign page, there's actually kind of two things we talk about here. So there's the one that everybody else sees, which we call the public page. And then there's the one that you see, which is your profile, and it's what you log in, and it's how you manage it. Now the public page has, your picture, it has your name, it has the story that you write. Now, we help you write it. I swear we don't leave you hanging on that one. We put together a document to guide you through it, but we also if you just are like, I have no idea what I'm doing, you can schedule time with your coordinator to walk you through it. And it also has that big yellow give button on the page. And that's how people can donate online. The back end, so the side that you see, is how you can update your pictures. It lets you set a goal, choose to show the goal or not. Lets you put updates up so that, you've been fundraising for a new prosthetic and you're halfway there. This is fantastic. You put up an update, you tell everybody how it's going. You tell them about the new fundraisers, you tell them how your therapy's going, whatever might be going on. And the people can subscribe to your page where they will get an email when you update by adding pictures or adding an update. We do also have the option of a visible guest book, so people can leave you a message. And, everybody can see the guest book. Nobody can see your donors, except for you and us.
Yep. So outside of that campaign page, our client services coordinators, such as Stacia and her team, provide a plethora of support. One way of doing that is the custom media support that they provide, which is, Stacia, I'll let you take over this one as well.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. So everyone who starts with us gets a business card, a QR code, and a flyer that they get sent. Our goal is to get it to you within 30 days of starting the campaign. I'm admittedly a little bit behind because we just had Giving Tuesday, and we gave everybody who asked for it got Giving Tuesday materials that were personalized. I personally had 56 people that I made flyers and social media frames for. And, so those get made for you. If you have an event, we have a form that you can fill out to request a flyer for that. There's, the one thing you look on the left here, the guide to Facebook fundraisers. There's one of those. There's a guide to fundraising on like every social media site that we have been able to think of. There's, one to writing an email blast. So our blog, person writes it is amazing. And she, like, if we come to her and say, people are saying this is difficult, she adds it to her list of blogs to write. So they're very helpful, and we will give them to you to help, but it's really, we help you figure out what's going to be the best option for you as well, because I would be terrible at fundraising on Instagram. It wouldn't work for me. But there's other people who have a huge following on Instagram. For them, fantastic. So that's what having a coordinator does provide, and we help you figure out how to think that way.
Absolutely. And the business cards that Stacia mentioned, these are just some examples. It's a great file that they provide. You can customize whatever they look like. And it's a great way for you to carry your campaign page in your pocket at any given time. And so when you're out in the community and you get to talking about maybe your new wheelchair or your new prosthetic or new vehicle, and you can share a business card and say, hey, check out my campaign page and learn more about my story. So this is just one asset that we provide all of our clients who are interested. And as Stacia was getting to as well, all the different types of fundraisers that our coordinators can help our clients plan. Truly, there is no fundraiser too big or too small for our communities. It's really about what will pique the interest of your community, what's actually going to get them to either come out in person, online, everything from bake sales to major golf outings. We've had people have success on all realms. And we do have a presence in all 50 states. So fundraising does look very different in every community that you go to. And this is where Stacia and her team really have the expertise in looking up. Maybe I know one of our coordinators has told me before, she'll sometimes just put in your zip code real quick and look at all the restaurants in the area that might do percentage sales nights. So stuff like that. It's just, that's what working with the coordinator is all about, and really trying to figure out the best way to get your fundraising efforts started.
And I mean, as you said, it's very individual. The one that always kind of has blown my mind since I started working with Help Hope Live is the curling tournament. So there is an annual curling event, and it's a corporate curling event near Philadelphia. every year. And I grew up near Philadelphia. If you asked me 3 years ago if there was a curling club in Philadelphia, I would have
I grew
really
up in
been
the
confused.
town, the very small town that curling event takes place in, and had no idea it was there. So,
But this thing brought in over $30,000 for the guy last year.
mhm.
It
So it's
went,
just figuring out what your community is
yeah,
interested in.
and because for him, curling was a
Yeah,
big part of who he was before he was injured.
absolutely.
So he
Absolutely.
has that connection. So that's where fundraising with us is so individualized. What
Yeah.
makes you interesting and how can we put that out in the community?
And it can even be as, and not simple as an easy, but just simple as t-shirt sales, as you see on the
Mm-hmm.
right. But we have a client in Texas that has an awesome logo that he's made. He's a heart transplant
Yeah.
client and has some really beautiful
Oh, they're gorgeous.
logos. And just even selling t-shirts. So there's all different kinds of things that our coordinators can talk to you about. And then let's see. So another thing that all of our clients have access to, if they choose, is a personalized video fundraising appeal. And this is something we can provide within the first month or two of becoming a client, that uses any photographs that you have provided us and is narrated by our executive director. And so it's kind of an easy ask, an easy way to dip your toes into fundraising, because we completely provide the ask for you. We are asking on your behalf. So you can share this
Mhm.
on social, all the things, a way to just, start your fundraising efforts. Just one more asset that we're here to do for you. And so you've worked with Stacia and her team, you're starting to fundraise, maybe you have some funds available in your honor with Help Hope Live. What are we helping you fundraise toward? What are we helping you pay for? Truly, as I said before, anything related to your diagnosis, to your injury, everything from equipment to care to quality of life. So this is not a finalized list by any means, but some of the biggest things that we help specifically our injury community fundraise toward are assistive tech, home modifications, caregiving expenses, medically necessary vehicles, service animals. We just did a whole webinar earlier today on service dogs. And then outside of that, our fundraising can go all the way down to the medical mileage rate, driving back and forth to doctor's appointments. So it doesn't have to be that you're fundraising for a $70,000 van. You might just be going to the doctor a lot, and that mileage adds up a lot. So we can help you fundraise toward that cost even.
And if there's something specific, like ask your coordinator. Because we have had to deep dive into what we can and can't cover.
Mhm.
So if we say we can't cover it, but how much is it? That means we can't cover that bill, but we have an idea for how we can help get the money to you by covering other things.
Or we may just ask you to go back to your prosthetist or your physician for a note of
Mhm.
necessity. Maybe it's something we haven't heard of before, and we can add it to our ever-growing list of things we pay for.
It's
So
true.
I mean, every day we're learning of new types of things. So,
Mhm.
like I said, we have individuals fundraising for everything under the sun. And you can start fundraising with Help Hope Live without even knowing that you need something
Oh, yeah.
specific. The fact that you are living with a catastrophic injury or illness qualifies you to come and fundraise with us, because we don't want you to all of a sudden need that new prosthetic tomorrow and you're paying 20% of that bill. We want you to start fundraising so that when you need to pay that 20%, you have funds available to you. We want you to be able to plan for those bills as best as possible. And so
So
how do you do that? Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, it's fine. Can I butt in for 1 second? I got a question for you and Stacia, both kind of on that subject, on where we are. I want to unpack that for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of us amputees and a lot of people in our situation, we spend a lot of time waiting for Social Security to kick in. People, we
Yes.
always apply for it, and that process becomes a 2 to 3 year process
Oh,
sometimes.
it's
And
yes.
it becomes, and in the meantime, a lot of folks, we miss work, we get
Yeah.
behind on bills and whatnot. So just to verify, with Help Live, we can't. There's no. Are we not able? We're not able to raise funds to help with everyday expense like
Okay.
rents and groceries.
So that's actually something that we were talking about in our client services staff meeting earlier today, because there is a way to do that. It's limited by time and it's limited by amount, but you can get help with that. First thing you would need is you would need a note from the doctor saying you're not able to work because of your injury. I'm pretty sure all of you would be able to get that without too much difficulty. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a doctor. It can be a physical therapist, medical professional. But for up to 3 months, we can pay out up to $2,000 a month towards mortgage or rent and utilities for somebody in that situation. After 3 months, we have to go to the board and get permission to extend it. But we frequently get that permission because, you know, our executive director, she gets it. Our board members, they get it. The other thing is there's a lot of things that we can cover that you would not necessarily think of that take some of that weight off so that, you know, they're not included in that $2,000. Cell phone bills are not included in that $2,000. Health insurance, as you can see, that's a separate thing. So we can't do a wage replacement. We're not allowed to do that from my understanding.
No, we can't fundraise toward lost wages. We can't fundraise toward individual groceries. But I will say, if you are in the hospital, we do offer, or even when you're at a doctor's appointment, we can help you fundraise toward what we call a per diem, which would cover the meals while you're at the hospital. Like I said, even just that medical mileage rate. So what Stacia is getting at is like the things we can help you fundraise toward would offset maybe some of the things we can't help you fundraise toward.
And, you know, most of the time we do need to see receipts. That daily food allowance, we don't.
We just need a calendar date of when you were at the hospital, like
we need proof of the appointments or the hospital stay. And that's about it for the per diem, because it's not our business if you pack a ham sandwich from home or, you know, go to Starbucks and get 5 double espressos. Like it's an allowance.
I don't want to be near you if you do, though. And we do cover one cell phone bill per client as well, because we understand that you need access to your doctor. So that is something we also cover with the fundraising expense and with the fundraising bills.
Well, thanks for clarifying that. You know, we have, as you know, as in this situation, you know, a lot of us we refer resources to other people, and a lot of times it's geared towards medical access and geared towards medical equipment, whatnot, but you know, it's often forgot about that we actually have lives to live, you know, and there's, like I said, cell phone bills and you know, transportation and stuff. So it's, you know, and I understand that, you know, there's not, you can't give to that specific need, but at least you guys have found, it seems like, a workaround to that.
A lot of, and even just the, you know, parking at the doctor's or hospital, if that's a charge, or modifications to your car that you might need, we can help you fundraise toward. If you need to take an Uber back and forth to doctor's appointments, we can help you fundraise toward that. So as long as we can trace it back to your condition in some way, or get a note from a medical professional, we will most likely help you fundraise toward it.
Yeah, and
it's best to say whatever your need is, just go straight to Stacia about it and figure out how to do it. Right?
She'll just help you figure it all out. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, client services is kind of known for being the team that helps you find the workarounds
in the best way possible. We follow our guidelines.
Oh yeah, we follow the guidelines, but we help you find the way to follow the guidelines and get what you need.
Absolutely. So in doing that, sorry, my computer's trying to update all of a sudden, and I don't know no idea where that picture came from. So
I know, but it's a cute picture.
I know, right? So let me try to get back to our screen here. So with all of that fundraising and how we help you easily do this. So like I said, you've done your fundraising, you have funds available in your honor at Help Hope Live, you're ready to pay some bills. How do you go about doing that? This is our fund request form that you can find on that back end of the campaign page that Stacia was talking about. You can submit this with a scanned copy of your bill directly to our finance team at the fund request website, or you can mail it to our office. And we prefer to pay directly to vendors as much as possible. There are certain things that we can reimburse you for, like like that medical mileage, or, you know, maybe you're purchasing medications. There's a lot of things we can reimburse, but we want to pay directly to vendors so you're not putting that money out up front. We offer anyone interested the access to direct deposit. We also have a handful of partner discounts on our website as well. And we really try to work with vendors around the country to help give more to our clients. So this is what our finance team is working on these day in and day out to process these bills in honor of our clients. And so this is also the back end of the campaign page that Stacia was talking about. One of the most important things that you guys get to see on your campaign page is your fund requests. And so you'll get to see when the fund request is processed. And so you'll see that transparency of the check went out and who it went out to and exactly, you know, when and the address, so that you don't have to call our office right away and keep asking if it went out. So that is a great update to our website that was made in the last year. Another asset that we have on our team, and I will, in full transparency at this point, we do not currently have an amputee ambassador. So we would love to bring any of you on board and
I would
to
love that.
work with Help Hope Live and then become a Help Hope Live ambassador. But we do have a wonderful team of Help Hope Live ambassadors that have share so many different conditions and can speak to using Help Hope Live. They have all been with Help Hope Live for at least 6 to 12 months and have been successful in their own right. That word success obviously means very different things to everyone, so there's no standard there. And they can speak, you know, if anyone really needs that one-on-one to talk to someone who has used us, any of these individuals are more than happy to speak to any potential client. We just started last month doing open houses with our brand ambassadors. So any new clients that come in once a quarter, we'll have an open house with a client services coordinator and a brand ambassador to answer any questions that someone new to Help Hope Live might have. And so with all of these assets that we have been telling you about and that we can provide you with, they all come at no charge to you guys to use. There is a 3% administration fee on the donations that come in your honor, and a 2.65 credit card fee if your donor donates online, but they can cover those fees if they choose to. But again, there's no charge to you for anything that we're here to do. All of the services that Stacia's team is here to offer, our finance team, social media, all of the above. We are here to just try to help you fundraise through your medical expenses and live your lives a little bit easier.
And another thing that does set us apart from some of the other options out there, because we're a nonprofit, we are able to accept employer matching donations. We're also able to accept charitable giving trust fund donations.
And corporate gifts, which you can't do as an individual.
Corporate gifts and from other foundations. So that, you know, I have a client who is entirely supported by his great aunt's foundation. And, you know, kid's doing great, but they wouldn't be able to do that in any other setting.
So yeah, just harkening back to the start of our conversation about what the advantages to working with Help Hope Live are, our personal support with Stacia and her team, our finance team, social media, the way that we manage the funds. They are Help Hope Live assets, so they should not affect any of your benefits or your household income. And then our nonprofit status, as Stacia just mentioned. So we are truly here to be the safe and supportive way for you to do your fundraising. And Stacia, would you like to talk about how any of these lovely people can get started if they're interested?
Sure. Okay, so there's 2 ways that you can start. The first is that you can go to helphopelive.org, and you see the piece on the left that says get started. Click apply. You put your information in there. One of us will call you. And our goal is to get to you within 2 business days. With the holidays coming up and people being out, it might be a little longer, but that's our plan. The other option is, honestly, just call us. You know, call in and we will get you set up over the phone, give you all of the onboarding information, and send you a link so that you can log in and do the complete application online. Because the get started is a little bit of information. We need a bit more before we can fully get you onboarded. whoever you talk to is going to be your coordinator. There's 5 of us, and they are some lovely ladies. So there really isn't a bad. You aren't going to get matched with somebody where I'm like, oh, sorry. They're all wonderful ladies, and they're here to just guide you through the whole process. Um, and yeah, so
And it's a very easy, the onboarding process. It's honestly up to you as to how
20
quickly that's
minutes.
going to happen. It can take 20 minutes, it can take 2 weeks. It really depends on you getting the paperwork back to us so that we can get your campaign page fully populated. And that medical professional, that medical verification as well, getting that back to us. We can get
Mhm.
you fundraising and set up right away the day you call us. We cannot disperse any funds in your honor until we get that verification back, though, because that is very important. That's the linchpin to everything. But again, that process can honestly take an hour if you'd like it to. It
I
doesn't
have
have to.
literally talked to somebody at 11 o'clock in the morning and approved their application before I left that afternoon.
So it really just depends on the individual and how quickly and motivated they are. And so with
Hey,
that, yeah,
Sonny, sorry,
yeah, Bob,
guys.
I know you have to
I,
run, right?
no, that's fine.
Okay.
I think we had a question from Jeffrey. He was raising a hand earlier.
Oh,
If you got a
sorry.
chance to recognize him real quick.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
no
come
worries.
on in. We're at a perfect time for questions.
Sure. So what you mentioned was fundraising ahead of time before the expenses. So
Yep.
basically, this becomes a bank account for me, but not in my name. It basically is just sitting there
Um,
waiting for me. Is this,
so
how does that work?
sort of. It becomes a medical fund that you have access to. And I'm phrasing it that way because you have to give us proof of the expense before we can pay out. So you can have the money sitting there and you need a new prosthetic, you just send us that bill, we can pay out. You can't call us up and be like, hey, send me $3,000 for a prosthetic. And we'll be like, we need that proof.
Of course, right. If
Yeah.
I
So
if I have like a bunch of really generous people that would, let's say I've got $10,000 worth of donations, my prosthetic in the next maybe 2 years costs maybe 6,000 for my out-of-pocket expense.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this money is just sitting there for years potentially. Is that
Yeah.
that's
yeah,
kind of how that would work?
the fund is open for as long as you would like to have it be open with us. And we will only close a campaign if the individual asks us to, or unfortunately, if you pass away. And if there are any remaining funds at the time of closing a campaign, the funds stay with Help Hope Live in the region that they are held to then help other individuals in that region. So as long as your campaign is open with us, we are here to help you with your medical expenses. Until that campaign is closed, then we are here to help others because we can occasionally go above and beyond on our clients' bills when they need that little extra bump of help. So that's, as a nonprofit, we're always here to help the greater good, but we are here to honor your donors and your needs as long as you have them.
And Sonny, just to verify this, it's these funds can go towards our out of pocket expense, right? It's not just for the uninsured. This is,
Oh,
we have
Related,
insurance.
anything
Absolutely.
related to the condition, anything related to the illness, the injury, anything that has caused your limb difference or amputation, we can help you fundraise toward those. Absolutely. Even if it
Okay.
isn't covered by insurance, we know obviously prosthetic, it's not fully covered by insurance. So, if you only need to pay that 20%, we just need to see that 80% is being taken care of, and then we can help you with that 20%. So, yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And if you don't have enough in your campaign for the full cost, but you still want us to help cut down the amount that's going to come out of your pocket, say you have $6,000 worth of expenses and you only have $3,000 available in your campaign, you can still put in and ask us to pay out that $3,000. You'll still be on the hook for the other three, but you can
Yeah,
request.
we would want to see that you have that ability to cover the extra part of that bill and to be sure that, we're not just throwing funds at something that might not actually happen, but you can absolutely have us pay a partial bill. Absolutely.
And you can continue your campaign as long as
Oh,
you
yeah.
need to.
The campaign, and so we use the campaign just as that term for the campaign page. It is, we, you know, we don't use that word account, we say campaign. So it is ongoing though. So if you have a fundraiser tomorrow, you can have another fundraiser next week. It's as many times as you want, or an annual fundraiser. It's here for your lifelong need.
Mm-hmm. We've had people who have been working with us for 20 years.
Yep.
And, you know, they're going to keep working with us for however many years more they want to. And some of those people have raised over $1 million and paid out over $1 million over the course of those 20 years because that's what they needed to do.
Well, that's good to know because it tends to be with with amputees and prosthetics. Our life cycle is about 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
So about every 3 to 5 years, we need a new prosthetic.
Yep.
So those out of pocket expenses become, like I said, 20% of a $54,000 prosthetic.
Seriously.
Except when
$10,000
you
to
first get started,
$15,000.
when you first get started, it's, I'm on my 4th or 5th prosthetic at 2.5 years, right? So I'm expecting to slow down now, but
Yeah.
The first couple of years, there's a lot of adjustment because of the stump changing size and all of that, correct?
Yeah.
Right.
Stacia, Zach just asking, do you have any tips for maximizing fundraising efforts for clients?
I mean,
I know it is hard to generalize because
yeah, I was going to say the first tip
population
is personalize it actually. The second tip is in a situation like you are in where you're looking at something that is going to come up every 3 to 5 years, and in between your expenses are, provided everything keeps working, knock on wood, minimal. I would say looking at an annual event might be a really good option for you, because that way you get your fundraising done, you cover all of your annual expenses, you have a bit more that's building up for the next big expense, and you don't feel like you're spending your whole life walking around saying, please donate to my fundraiser. And then the other big one is really being open to letting other people help you. And that's a really, really hard one for a lot of people, is letting other people do a fundraiser for you, letting other people know that you need this. That can be a very difficult thing for a lot of people. That's one of the things we work through with a lot of our clients right at the beginning. And then the third one, if you have a cute pet, put them in your picture.
We do have a client that does a calendar with her dog every year. So, but even I would even just say, like, keeping your campaign page updated and current is really important, because even if you're not in your fundraising cycle, someone might find your page, and if they don't think it's current, they might not think you need it anymore. And doing those annual events are fantastic. We have people who have very successful just letter writing campaigns at the end of the year. So it really, once you start to figure out what works for your community, you can really harness that. Absolutely. And use what we give you. As Stacia said, Giving Tuesday, we have toolkits for Giving Tuesday every year. We have toolkits we do another day of giving in the spring. We have Hope Travels 5K event. So there are certain things that we have built in that we do automatically for you already. So use those tools. The social media posts, all of that are already built in, so you don't even have to do the work.
And the other one, that mentioning social media, use video. Video catches people's eyes.
Zach, you're pretty good at that, if I remember. So
yeah. Stacia and Sunny both, if you guys could answer this question. A lot of us in the room right now, a lot of us are kind of veterans at this, and we've been amputees for a while now. We've already established ourselves. We know how it works, and we get a lot of questions from other people who are new. We serve as mentors almost. So with Help of Live, is there a way to address emergency funding, or is someone who comes to the amputee situation and they're brand new to this and they're trying to navigate the whole thing, and they haven't had time to really establish a fundraising campaign, but they've got bills that are coming in, Is there anything you guys do or can do, or how do you?
So we do have what we call emergency needs grants, which are used for non-Help Live clients. And I will say that we do try anyone that's coming in with those grants to gear them toward fundraising. So you can get a grant and then become a Help Live client after that. But these are one-time grants of up to $1,500 that needs to be paid directly to a bill that is solving a situation. So if you've been out of work because of your injury and maybe you have a month or two of light bills that need to be turned back on, or and something like that, where it's really filling that gap of just getting you over that last hurdle, up to $1,500. Sometimes we can have conversations around that. There is an application for that comes through a social worker. So I can send Tina that application, or if anyone has an interest, I can send it, and it does still need to be filled out by a social worker attached with a bill. But we will always have the conversation around gearing that person toward fundraising after that. But that is the one thing that we can offer, is that we do have those emergency needs grants to try to help bridge that gap. I understand that it's not much considering what your expenses might be. But one of the goals that we try to do, and what development tries to do, is we try to bring in, we don't have any currently, but we try to bring in other donors, or when people might have extra funds, we can hopefully gear them toward, sometimes we get grants that can help us seed campaigns. We try to figure that out, and we're always trying to figure out creative ways to help our clients. So that is another, that's one thing that, on the very off chance that someone has a campaign and it goes gangbusters, and maybe it's more than they need, or they pass away and there are, say $50,000 still available, we can create a memorial fund out of that and then start helping others from that fund. So there's ways to give back as well. But as of today, that emergency needs grant is really the best way to help someone immediately when needed.
And I'm sure that there'll be no problem with you guys working with us as an organization to augment, where we can kick in money where we can, if we can, so there'd be a partnership almost, right?
We can absolutely talk about that, Bob. Yeah, we can get Tina on the phone at some point and talk about that more and see how we can work closer together, because you guys have definitely been one of my biggest champions in trying to broaden my scope in this community. So I appreciate that, and I'd love to figure out how we can work closer together.
Yeah, awesome. That'd be you want to talk to Zach? He's the one. He'll be the one who authorizes that. He's the one in charge.
So yeah, so from a fundraising standpoint, we don't move fast. I'm sorry. I have to be honest about that. We don't move
Nobody
fast.
does. No one does.
But what we do have is an incredible list of resources.
Mm-hmm.
So on our website, and I'm sure we can give you the direct link, but it's on our publications page.
Thank you, Zach. Yeah, I'll find the exact link.
So it is the brainchild. It is the pet project. I'm not sure quite what to call it, of one of our colleagues, and it is over 100 pages of resources for various different things. She has categorized every single resource that she has put in there. So, yep, perfect. Sunny just put the specific one for injury resources. You can go there, look through like the categories. Sometimes there's something that is state specific, or that is injury specific, or something that is situation specific in some other way. That might be able to help someone in that emergency situation. As a fundraising coordinator, I go get a social worker to call Sunny, or I refer them to the resources, because fundraising, I can't promise it's going to move fast. So, and I'm very much I'm going to be totally transparent, lay it on the table. I'm not going to promise we can get something to you next week if we can't get it to you next week.
No, absolutely. And I'm about to drop another blog that we did on financial assistance and the amputee community with some quotes and all, just so you guys have it. And our blog is another great resource just in general of client stories. And whether or not it's your same situation, you can at least maybe get fundraising ideas or hear what other people have been going through. See some cute pets and some cute kids at times, whatever, so we're here to help as much as we can. And if we can't that day, we will try to figure out a different avenue.
Yeah. I appreciate the transparency and you guys being honest about that. And we all know that, being part of the organization, that things don't move very fast a lot of times.
Yeah,
Sonny and
not having,
Stacia,
we can't always guarantee that, some people will come in and in the first weekend raise $10,000. Every community is different, that we can't possibly say like how much someone's going to be able to raise right away. That's a near impossible question to answer.
Oh, I get asked it all the time, and they're like, "So, how much am I likely to raise?" And I'm like, "I have absolutely no idea. I can't.
Yeah.
I've talked to you for 5 minutes. I have no idea."
It's
So
really limitless. It's all about how hard you work at it, I guess.
Absolutely.
Well, some of it's how hard you work, but some of it's also luck, and some of it is the community we live in. Because I've known some people who've worked very hard, and sometimes it works fantastically, and sometimes it does not work as well.
Yeah.
All right, Jeffrey, trying to read what you just put in here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So you absolutely can do a low intensity campaign. If that's something that you would want to look at, yeah, like call in, talk to us, put something in on it, get started. And we give you tools. It's up to you how you want to use them.
Yeah,
And
it did sound interesting. And I just got hit with a almost $6,000 bill this year, where last year they were covered at 100%. So I just kind of went, okay, well, I can pay this, but I really don't want to. And wow,
no,
that
and nor
really
should you
hurt.
have to.
Right,
So
that really
yeah.
hurt. I also don't want my friends and family to have to shell out the 6,000 either. So
No, but what you
tone
can
it out. Yeah, it's
what
there's
you can
conversations
do
around that.
is you can set it up and be like, you know what, guys, give me a smaller birthday present and donate a bit.
yeah. Well, the idea that you had activities, so I could say, hey, stop by this restaurant and they'll
Oh,
donate,
completely.
or
Mm-hmm.
hey, join me for some cornhole, and
Yeah.
we'll do that, right?
That's it. Like,
So
make it into something so they don't feel like they're just handing you money.
right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my concern would be.
Yeah.
I'm not just out here looking for donations, but
No.
No, and yeah, we could absolutely talk about specific fundraising events, what would be of interest to you. I mean, I had somebody do a fantastic trivia night. And they did fine with like they did really well with that. So it's again, talk to your coordinator. Will help you figure out what you want to do, and whatever level of how hard you want to push it. That's up to you. We do recognize that you have other things going on in your life.
You can make your campaign page public or private as well. We would prefer you to keep it public so that people can randomly find it. But if you want to keep it private, that's up to you as well. So everything is at your preference here.
That would be an interesting thing. And of course, I would probably be public. My Facebook page is public. I do publish a lot of information. But there is a concept, and I forget the exact term, of an amputee fan, should we say? Like people who follow amputees looking for some
similar
sort
in the
of
spinal cord community as well.
Yeah, it's kind of strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's out there.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Devotee, I think, is the word.
Yeah, there's a term for
we know what you're
of everything.
to. Yeah.
Okay.
Jess, I certainly don't want to miss you. What is your question?
Yeah, so I am about 2 years in and I'm still getting sockets like every 3 months, which has been crazy because I'm atrophying like crazy. So that's been a financial burden. But I know that you said that you guys have like a page with a ton of other resources. I was just curious, if you even know, which I'll do my own research, but if you have any resources for housing, I'm in like a predicament where I need to need to move like soon. And I was just wondering if you have any ideas for that.
So
We
there
don't,
might
I,
be resources
yeah,
for
there might
that.
be.
Um, I feel like this is something that would need to be a one-to-one conversation to
Yeah.
really understand your situation and be able to give
Okay,
you a good
sure.
answer.
And I would say like our coworker that brainchild's that you can give her parameters and she'll send you back an email of 10 different things. So it's definitely easier if you can do one-to-one and then we can see what we might be able to come up with, if anything.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Thank you, ladies.
Of
yeah,
course.
so I'm gonna actually I'm gonna put the email address in here, but send an email to support@helphopelive.org
Okay.
and
Yeah.
you know, lay out
And a
what you
real
looking for
person
help
is
with.
behind that email.
Okay. Thank you,
Yeah.
guys.
You're very welcome. Any other questions or anything before we close out our hour here? Zach, anything else you think we missed or want to touch on?
Actually, I do have one question. What
Sure.
out of all the fundraising events you guys have seen, what has been the most impactful?
Mm,
Ooh,
impactful.
what do you mean by
That's a different,
impactful?
yeah.
You've seen one, so a couple of different things. One, the most, say like funds coming in, but also two is like, um, when you're fundraising, you're also getting your story out as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, um, that aspect as well.
Ooh, so what I'm gonna say is for getting the story out, the biggest impact tends to be press release. So we have somebody who writes press releases and we send them out for you after you approve them. If it gets picked up, it can be huge. Now, that press release can be tied to an upcoming event. In that
Wow.
case, we have seen, ticket sales for that event skyrocket. Not always, but sometimes. So that can happen. The trivia night I mentioned had that particular thing happen. It's so hard to say what's had the biggest impact
Mhm.
because what's a huge financial impact for one person
Yeah.
is not as big
Right.
for somebody else. Because a transplant client who's looking to pay to their hotel stays maybe maxing out looking for $10,000. They get a
Mm.
$3,000 event. That's a huge impact for them. Somebody who's in a wheelchair who needs a $70,000 accessible vehicle, that $3,000 is a nice drop in the bucket, but it's not getting them anywhere near proportionally as far. One of my clients would do an art auction every year online because she was an artist.
That's such a good idea. Sorry, I had to chime
Oh
in.
no, that's
No, you're fine.
fantastic.
That is.
She did
Yeah.
she did very well with that. Another one, they did a gala night for her. So, and again, those were big dollars. They got the word out, but it wouldn't work for somebody who isn't an artist.
Mhm.
I think it also
Makes
is
sense.
the follow-up that you would do because
Mhm.
a lot of the events I'm thinking of at the moment are like the curl-a-thon that we told you about, or those cornhole tournaments. There's a young gentleman that lives not far from me here who's one of our clients whose community comes together and does a cornhole tournament every year. And yes, there's a cornhole tournament in one day, but then how do you use those pictures and how do you tell that story after
Mhm.
that? So it's the follow-up impact that you can use as well. And just seeing the community come together. We have one client who does, and I think they still do, a major letter writing campaign at the end of every
Oh, he does.
year. Yeah. And then we had another client who, when he was in high school, all the public schools around him kind of formed teams and then like competed against each other to try to fundraise each other. And so it's like, again, very lucky to have that community behind them. So it really depends and harnessing those different ideas. But also another one, anyone in your family or yourselves that play online video games,
Mhm.
huge philanthropic community. And we used to have a really big gaming program even, and all of that where people would fundraise. But I know it's still out there. There are still
There's at
wonderful
least
gamers
two.
out there.
There's at
Yeah,
least
and
two
there's
events a
still,
year that people
yeah, the
fundraise for
RPG
Help Help
event.
Live using through gaming.
Yep.
Various ways.
So we still work with gamers, and it's a huge event, and it's, you know, a lot of people do that, and it's as easy enough as streaming on Twitch or doing whatever. And I couldn't tell you the ins and outs of it personally, but I've seen it happen. And I mean, so it's about being unique, I think. Also, what is going to make someone stop and look at that flyer or look at that yard sign or any of that?
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you.
How can you make yourself stand out?
Exactly.
How can you make yourself stand out while still being authentically you?
Right.
We have one client who does really good descriptor videos of their fundraising efforts and what it goes into putting on their fundraising and being so precise. And I think like individuals in your situations where you say you need a new prosthetic every 3 to 5 years, I've had this conversation a lot with our spinal cord community when it's a lifelong condition. How do we explain to our community time after time that we still need to fundraise? And that's it, as well as having that conversation with your community that this is a lifelong thing. Maybe I have an update. Maybe I got a new wheelchair or new prosthetic, or there are little advancements. And it is about keeping that page current. You know, it can be tiresome, but that's what our coordinators are here to help with as well, because we understand it can be that monkey on your back that's constantly nagging at you. But we know that it needs to be done, though, because you guys shouldn't have to struggle with a $6,000 bill and figuring everything out. Jess, what's up?
I spent this year 20,000 on a new foot, and the foot isn't charging, and it's been freezing up, and I've been tripping on it, so I'm no longer using it. I didn't even get very much time on it, and the company, I've sent it back multiple times, and it's just been a headache. And so now it's like, well, now I have to buy a new foot, and it's like I literally just spent 20 grand on something that I'm never going to use.
That's
So
awesome.
it's I don't know if it's because I'm only 2 years in, or I don't know. I don't really know why, like, I don't know. So we go through these things, and a lot of it's trial and error, and we don't even know if the thing that we're going to be spending the money on is going to be helpful for us, and then that's the sad part.
Yeah,
It is
and
hard.
I know that we have done Hope Talks, which are something Sunny manages, and they're really helpful. They're an hour-long web conversation between experts in the field about various topics that are of interest to our clients. And one of the ones that has been done is, why am I still fundraising? And that's the kind of information that, your community, if you're fundraising, needs to hear, because they don't get it.
Right. And I would love to work with you guys in any way,
Yeah, reach out to us.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to reach out to you guys.
Awesome. No, we appreciate it. However, we can start working with your community, and little by little, we'll get you guys in here. We'll get you fundraising and get you successful, and then you can be brand ambassadors for us and help us share. But don't tell Tina I'm not stealing any of you from Less Leg More Heart. So no, we can work together.
Absolutely.
But
Definitely.
Zach, any other questions or anything we didn't touch on?
I believe that's it for me. Do you guys, anybody else have any questions?
And you have our emails now, Zach, as well.
Hmm.
So feel free to share those with the group.
Definitely. We'll
Well,
be
I don't want to
reaching
speak
out.
for you, Stacia. Are you okay with him sharing your email?
I mean, I certainly don't mind, but if you put something in online, you might get assigned to somebody else. So, either is fine.
No
But yeah, if
problem.
you have a question, like, I have no problem answering a few extra emails.
Yeah.
It's not like my inbox isn't already full of craziness. So
And we are,
Perfect.
well, I can't even say that. So we do, our home base is Philadelphia, but we have coordinators in Ohio, Memphis, San Antonio. So we span a lot of time zones. Our office is open 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. And so Monday through Friday. So we have availability to help and have those conversations.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Awesome. Well,
ladies, for
thank you
doing this.
guys.
This is
Yeah,
awesome.
thank you so much.
Absolutely. And thank
I'll
you,
definitely be
Zach
reaching
and
out.
Bob and Tina. And we look forward to working with you guys more.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to talk to you all.
Definitely.
You as well. Thank you.
Definitely.
Bye,
All
guys.
right,
Have a great rest of your
thanks,
night.
guys, for
You
joining.
too.
Till
Of
next
course.
time. See you
Bye.
guys
Bye.
later.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.